So after receiving many suggestions on my used cars that you should never buy video, I decided to put together a used cars that you should buy video, and today I'm here to bring you guys that. So after doing some research, consulting a few sources, I put together a list of 20 reliable cars under $10,000 that'll be great daily drivers and first cars. So just a short disclaimer before this video begins, not every single car I mention will last forever. Some are bound to have random failures or problems of whatever nature, whether it be with the engine, transmission, interior quality, just random stuff. Something's probably going to fail eventually. And there's clearly more than 20 reliable and good used cars under $10,000. These are just some of the best ones that I found. So if you guys have suggestions, let me know down in the comments, and if I get enough, I'll certainly put together a part 2 for this video as well. But let's go ahead and get started. So the first car on the list is the late 2000s Kia Soul. And although it looks like a toaster and performs like one, it's actually a pretty impressive car. It's pretty small, but it makes very good use of its space. So you can easily fit 5 full-size adults in the car and still have plenty of storage in the back. It also gets great gas mileage. It's a 4-cylinder, so you can get 30 mpgs on this easily combined. And reliability with this car is very good. There were a few minor issues and recalls that I read about, but nothing too substantial. So obviously you want to look for one with lower miles, but don't be too concerned with buying something that has higher miles on it. Next up is the Mazda MX-5, specifically the NA, NB, and NC generations, which are the first 3 generations and pretty much like the first 20 model years of this car. My dad actually owns a 1990 NA Miata. He's the original owner, and he daily drove that car for a while, and it was a very reliable car for him. 5-speed manual, super fun to drive. I learned how to drive stick on that car, but the newer MX-5s, the NC MX-5 specifically, you can find those that are in the mid-2000s. You can find those for under $10,000, and they are very fun cars to drive. So if you can live with a 2-seater and a convertible, then it's certainly something fun. It's not too fast, but it's a car that's known for being lightweight and good handling. It's a driver's car. It's not built for straight line speed, but you do get great reliability with this car, and it's certainly fun to drive. Next on the list is the mid-2000s Subaru Impreza. And this car is great if you live somewhere that it snows or you have bad weather, because it's all-wheel drive, so you won't have to worry about not being able to drive it in the weather. It's pretty reliable, and it's not slow. So it does have a complex powertrain, and because of that, you do need to make sure that you stay up on maintenance. Make sure you're changing the oil, changing all the fluids, checking everything regularly to make sure that everything is running smoothly. But outside of being very careful with maintenance, it's a great daily driver, and something that, like I said, you can drive pretty much any time of the year with no worries. Number 4 on the list is a mid or late 2000s Nissan Maxima. And this comes with a 3.5 liter V6 producing in the mid 200s horsepower. So it's definitely got enough power to get you around and still have a little bit of fun. And it also is a bigger sedan, so you've got plenty of room if you're looking for something that's more family oriented. They are very reliable, but one issue that you want to look out for if you're looking into buying one is transmission failure, because when I was doing some research, I found that the transmissions tend to fail around 100,000 miles. So you definitely want to look very carefully at the mileage and the maintenance records at these before you buy them, as you want to do with any car, but specifically with the transmission issues that this car has. But I mean, outside of that, it's a great, reliable daily driver with plenty of power, and it can fit 5 people easily, so all-around good car. Next on the list is the Ford Crown Victoria, and this is a car that has been used by police officers, cab drivers, anything, you name it. This car is a tank. So the Crown Victoria is very, very reliable, and it had very, very few issues. And that it's kind of living proof when you see all these taxi cabs and cop cars that are still around on the streets with hundreds of thousands of miles on them, because I mean they're driven all day every day pretty much. It has a V8 engine in it, so while giving you a pretty solid amount of power, it does suffer with fuel economy. So if you're someone who has longer commutes and wants something a bit more fuel efficient, the Crown Victoria probably isn't the best choice. But it's still a very reliable car that has plenty of room for 5 people in it. So making an appearance in one of these videos once again is the Toyota Prius. Plenty of people didn't understand that the Prius was on the list as a joke in my used cars not to buy video, so I'll just go ahead and make that clear again right here. But the Prius is notoriously one of the most reliable and fuel efficient cars. I guess you could call it a hatchback, but it's got 5 seats in it, and they have different variations of the body style now, so if you want something smaller, you can get something smaller. But a mid-2000s Toyota Prius is something that you should definitely look for if you want something that's fuel efficient. One downside of these cars, however, is expensive repairs because of the hybrid powertrain. If something does go wrong, and especially if it's out of warranty, it can be expensive, so that is something that you want to watch out for in these cars. So number 7 on the list is the Toyota Corolla, specifically the mid and late 2000 model years. These cars are one of the most popular daily drivers on the road today, and for good reason. Very reliable, very good fuel economy, and very practical. These cars don't have a ton of room in them, but I mean, if you need to, you can still fit 5 people in there pretty easily. And over 30 mpg is great for a daily driver. So next on the list is the mid and late 2000s Honda Civic. And this is a direct competitor of the Corolla, offered in both a coupe and a sedan. Very good fuel economy, very good reliability, and practical as well, just like the Corolla. You can't really go wrong with either of these cars. It really just comes down to the price, the mileage, and personal preference. So number 9 on the list is the Pontiac Vibe and Toyota Matrix, specifically the mid and late 2000s model years, sharing many components under their different skins. The Matrix and Vibe are very practical cars. They're hatchbacks, so you've got plenty of room for luggage, as well as room for 5 people. Now granted, the legroom and space for the passengers in the rear isn't the best, but it's still something that'll be a great daily driver and that'll be reliable for you. Next on the list is the big brother of the Honda Civic, the mid-2000s Honda Accord. You can find these for under $10,000 fairly easily. If you need something a bit bigger than the Civic or Corolla, it's a very good option. It'll give you a bit more legroom, a bit more storage, and a bit more power as well. These come with optional V6 engines and over 200 horsepower, so that's very nice if you do want something a bit more powerful. Number 11 on the list is a mid-2000s Toyota Avalon. This is Toyota's top-of-the-line flagship, if you want to call it that, sedan. And it's a good car if you want something a bit bigger. So featuring a 3.5 liter V6, it'll provide you with plenty of power to get around town and even have a little bit of fun if you want. And the downside of the V6, it will suffer in the fuel economy department a little bit compared to smaller 4-cylinders, but that's just a price that you have to pay when you're getting a bigger car. Next up is the late 2000s Toyota Camry. And the Toyota Camry has once again been one of the best-selling cars in America, and for good reason. Great reliability, good fuel economy, practicality, and an optional V6 is a recipe for success. It is a great family sedan and very, very reliable daily driver. 13th on the list is a early and mid-2000s Lexus LS430. And this is something that is going to be bigger and more luxurious than the previous cars I've mentioned. I mean, I personally did a review on a Lexus LS400, one of my friend's LS400s, and that car is extremely big and extremely reliable for the price that you can get them at. I mean, it's just absurd. Has a V8 engine, so you've got enough power to get around town. And a downside of the V8 obviously is the fuel economy. So if you do just want something that's fuel efficient, maybe consider something a bit smaller. But if you want something that's very reliable and comfortable while still being cheap, a Lexus LS400 or LS430 is a great choice. Number 14 on the list is a mid and late 2000s Acura TL. The Acura TL is a great choice if you want something that's Asian but doesn't have a Toyota badge on the hood. It'll provide you with solid reliability, a surprisingly fast V6 engine, and pretty good looks and space on the inside. Following up the Acura TL is the mid-2000s Mazda 3, and this is a perfect daily driver mid-size first car. So offered in both a hatchback and sedan, it'll give you great gas mileage, be very practical, especially if you get the hatchback, you'll get a ton more storage space. Number 16 on the list is a mid-2000s Honda Pilot. And if you're looking for something that's a bit bigger, aka a crossover or SUV, the Pilot is a great choice. It offers a 3.5 liter VTEC V6, and it gives you plenty of power to get where you need to go. The V6 means that your fuel economy is mediocre. It's not going to be as good as these 4-cylinders, but you'll probably still get about 20 mpg combined. Following up the Honda Pilot is a mid and late 2000s Hyundai Sonata. The Sonata is a great daily driver, and you can find them pretty easily under $10,000. It offers both a 4 and 6 cylinder, so it has something for everyone. So you can get 230 horsepower out of that V6 engine, which is pretty solid. And if you don't need something that powerful, you can always option for the 4-cylinder, which will get you about 30 mpg combined. Number 18 on the list is a mid-2000s Infiniti G35. Coming with a 3.5 liter mean-sounding V6, the base model produces over 280 horsepower stock, which is absurd. They are pretty quick cars. One downside of the G35, however, is repairs. Repairs are very expensive with Infinitis, especially if it's out of warranty. So when something does break, be prepared to pay for it. It comes in both a coupe and sedan, and it's pretty fun to drive, especially if you get it with a manual transmission. Following up the G35 is a mid and late 2000s Toyota RAV4. So once again, if you're looking for something a little bit bigger, the Toyota RAV4 is certainly something to consider. It's a solid crossover or SUV and is a great daily. Keeps up with the trend of Toyota's reliability. It'll easily get you to a couple 100,000 miles as long as you keep up with maintenance. So a 4-cylinder is the only engine option, and while that does mean great fuel economy, it does mean horrible performance. So do not buy this car expecting it to be any sort of quick. It is going to get blown out of the water by just about any car on the road. But then again, if you're buying a car like this, you're not really going to be looking at it for performance. So closing out the list is a mid-2000s Honda CR-V. So being a direct competitor of the RAV4, the CR-V did share a lot of the same qualities. It was a solid crossover-sized vehicle, good fuel economy, and very reliable. It did, however, occasionally have transmission issues. How severe, I'm not really sure. So if you are looking into buying one of those, definitely check out the maintenance history and see if there's been any work to the transmission done. But nonetheless, it'll still be a good family crossover if you're looking for something a bit bigger. So I'm sure that you guys noticed that a majority of these vehicles are Asian, which when talking about reliability of a car, especially used cars, shouldn't really surprise you. I avoided going into too much detail in this video because I wanted to keep it simple and not make it a half-hour long video. But I hope you guys did enjoy this and found it helpful. If you have any questions below in the comments, let me know. I'll certainly do my best to answer all of them. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next video. So before this video ends, I want to give a huge shout out to the app Garage Amino. And this is an app that I've been using for a while now, and it's basically just a social media app for car lovers. It's really cool. I go on here a few times a day. You can just read about other people's builds, interesting stuff going on in the car world. As you see, you have a bunch of featured posts here, and then just your general feed, and then you make your own profile. You can post stuff as you want. You've also got your chats over here where you can join different public chats or just talk to different members about whatever you want. It's really cool. I really enjoy it. It's cool hearing about other people's car stories, so definitely check it out. Once again, it's called Garage Amino, and I will put a link to download this in the description of this video. So once again, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next video.